This is Eric Anderton, and you're listening to Construction Genius, a leadership masterclass. Thomas Edison said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. If you're a construction leader, you know all about the perspiration, and this show is all about the 1% inspiration that you can add to your hard work to help you to improve your leadership. Welcome to this episode of Construction Genius, a leadership masterclass. I'm your host, Eric Anderton. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how construction executives and leaders can use time blocks to eliminate overwhelm, reduce stress, and increase effectiveness. I don't know if you remember the 1978 movie Superman, the first one with Christopher Reeve. There's this very interesting scene in that movie where there's this little girl staring up into a tree, and her cat is stuck up in the tree. She's crying out to the cat, saying, come on down from the tree, come on down from the tree. And of course, the cat's up there crying away and stuck and not coming down, just like a cat, right? And then it cuts away to Superman up in the sky, looking down, and all of a sudden he sees the little girl crying out to the cat, and he swoops down. And as Superman does, he saves the cat out of the tree, gives the cat back to the little girl, and everybody's happy. My question is, why didn't the little girl ask her parents to bring a ladder out and just climb up the tree and bring the cat down? Or if that wasn't possible, perhaps call the fire department. Was that the highest and best use of Superman's time? Shouldn't he be off saving the world as opposed to, going around and getting cats out of trees? And that's the problem that I find with many construction executives. They spend their days flying around getting cats out of trees. And they're not Superman, so what happens is they're dealing with all of these minor issues, dealing with all of these small fires, and as a result of that, they get overwhelmed and stressed out. And a simple fix for all of this is using time blocks. So in this episode, we're going to explore how you can use time blocks to beat overwhelm, reduce stress, and make you much more effective. And there's three things we're going to cover and talk about. Number one is the benefit of time blocks. Number two is the hindrance to time blocks. And then number three is the types of time blocks. Now, what I mean by a time block is a set amount of time that you spend doing only one thing. And as a construction executive, you may be thinking right away that this is not practical. My days are overwhelmed by emails and phone calls and issues and project challenges. But I want to encourage you to think about how you can use this concept of time blocks practically to make you a much more effective leader. Okay, so don't think this is some sort of magic pill that's going to change your life. But what you're going to get from this episode is some practical tips and insights that you can use to make you a more effective leader. Okay, so let me just give you a quick example. When I was putting this episode together, I used 3 separate 90-minute blocks to outline and prepare the content. During that last block, I had my headphones on. I was listening to some Mozart because it helps me to focus. And there were multiple interruptions to that block, knocks on my office door, and I just refused those interruptions. I said no so that I could focus on the highest and best use of my time, which was preparing this episode. And you as a construction leader, you need to practice that same sort of discipline if you're going to be effective as a leader. So let's dive into it. Let's talk first about the benefits of time blocks. The first benefit is this: it frees you up to concentrate. You do your best work when your distractions are eliminated and you can really focus on what's in front of you. Think about an issue that you're facing on a project at the moment. You need to set aside time to be able to concentrate on what you're going to do to overcome that particular challenge. And the very best construction executives understand that multitasking doesn't work. Now, I realize that there's times when you're doing many things at once. But if you're going to be effective, if you're going to do deep work, you have to free up time to concentrate. And when you concentrate, it makes you more productive. That's a natural result of concentration. You get into a flow. Ideas begin to pop. and you begin to be able to overcome some of these obstacles that you're facing and really focus in on how you're going to overcome the challenges. And then the third thing is it empowers others by causing them to be more resourceful. You see, one of the problems that you have in your leadership is that perhaps you've trained people to interrupt you constantly because you're always ready to solve their problems for them. But if you discipline yourself to set aside time to work on what's most important, and you communicate that to other people, then they'll understand that at that particular point in time, they cannot interrupt you, and they perhaps will become more resourceful and solve their problems themselves. And then finally, what it does is it shows you where other people need to be trained. Because as you're blocking out time to concentrate on what's most important to you, after you come out of that block, you'll begin to see where other people aren't able to perform effectively because they were waiting for you for some sort of input or some sort of insight. And when you see where where your people are in terms of what they're able to perform effectively, it will teach you and instruct you what you need to do to train them. Okay, so those are some of the benefits of time blocking. It frees you up to concentrate. It increases your productivity. It empowers other people to solve their own problems. And it also shows you where other people need to be trained. Now, secondly, let's talk about the hindrance to time blocking, to setting aside those types of blocks of concentration. And I'd like to say this. You are the main hindrance to blocking out time. And specifically, what I mean by that is how you perceive yourself and how that perception of yourself causes you to interact with other people. Let me explain that a little bit. There's three ways that perhaps you perceive yourself that hinders you from blocking out time and concentrating on the highest and best use of time. Number one is you like being a hero. And the source of that is it makes you feel good when people knock on the door, interrupt you, and you solve their problem. You like the perception of being someone who gets stuff done. And the problem with that hero-type mentality is it makes people dependent on you. It makes people dependent on you, and it causes them to be passive in the way that they conduct themselves with their responsibilities. And the fix is this. Instead of that mindset being, I like to be the hero, you need to shift that mindset to, I will train others to be heroes. That's how you need to shift that mindset so that you get out of that whole mode of behaving where you're always the hero, you're always solving the issues, and if you're not there, it's not going to get done. You need to change that and train other people to be heroes so they quit interrupting you so that you can focus your time on doing what's most important as a leader. The second hindrance is this idea of perfectionism. One of the reasons why you are in your position as a construction leader is because you are highly competent. You're really good at what you do. And what I've found working with many construction executives over the years is that they are perfectionists. And the source of that perfectionism is their pride. It's their pride. And the problem with that is it takes power and responsibility from others because that perfectionism leads you to thinking that only you can do a particular task. And if anyone else does it, they won't do it quite as well as you can. And so you retain and hold on to doing things that other people should be doing. And that causes you to get stuck. And so the fix for this is that you need to be content with good enough. Now, that doesn't mean you're sloppy or you're careless, but you need to be content with other people executing tasks in a manner that is good enough for the particular circumstance or for the project or for the client. And what you need to really focus on is delegation. Delegating those tasks that you tend to hold on to because of your perfectionism. Release them to other people. Good enough is good enough, and train them to perform at a good enough level, even if they can't reach your level of performance. And then the third hindrance to time blocking is the nice guy syndrome. And the source of that nice guy syndrome is fear. The problem with some leaders, I find, and not many in construction, but some, is they like to be perceived as a nice person. And the problem with that is it gives people permission to constantly interrupt you. And poor planning on their part begins to constitute an emergency on your part. And the way you fix that is by determining to say no to people. You need to get good as a construction leader saying no to people when they request time from you, if that request for time is going to interrupt your ability to concentrate on what's most important. And you need to make a shift from being liked in your mind, the importance of being liked, to being respected and effective. It's more important for you to be respected and effective than to be liked. So practice saying no to people so they stop interrupting you, and don't allow yourself to be dependent on people liking you. Be confident enough in your abilities and in the way that you perform to just be content with people respecting you and with you being as effective as you can. So keep in mind those three hindrances to time blocking. You wanting to be the hero, you being a perfectionist, and you being the nice guy. Now, let's talk about the types of blocks that you can employ as a construction leader. Number one, a project block. So you set aside a particular amount of time to focus on a particular project. So whether you have an estimating issue, whether you're a project manager, whether you're a superintendent, you set aside a block of 60 to 90 minutes to work on a specific project. I find this is particularly true for estimators. They need to set aside time to focus on a takeoff or focus on the quantities that they need to understand, so they get their arms around the project and really deliver an estimate that is going to set up the organization for building a profitable project. The second time block is a people block. Now, one of the reasons why construction leaders get overwhelmed is they have too many people reporting to them. So in terms of people blocks, the first thing you want to do is reorganize your organization so that you only have no more than 4 to 6 people reporting to you. And then one way to make your time usage way more effective is to block out an hour to meet with each one of your direct reports every week. The effect of this will help you to eliminate the number of times they approach you with issues throughout the week, because they'll know that they have a standing appointment with you every week to spend time face to face discussing the issues and the challenges that they have. So block out time to spend time with your people on a regular basis, and this will help to eliminate some of the distractions and the overwhelm. And then the last block is a geographic block. Now, many construction leaders spend a lot of time on the road. Windshield time for many of the people that I work with is wasted time. And unfortunately, people do not block their time effectively in terms of where they are geographically. So they may visit one job site. Let's say I'm in Northern California. You may visit a job site down in San Jose in the South Bay area, and perhaps you've got another job in the Central Valley. And so you visit the job site 7 o'clock in the morning, and then you spend, 2 hours or 3 hours on the road visiting another job site in the Central Valley. It's a waste of time. So think about how you can block out your time geographically so that you're much more effective and focused and not spending as much time with the windshield in your truck. Now, you may be listening to this and say, Eric, this is completely unrealistic. You don't understand my life. Multitasking is essential. And I understand where you're coming from, but I'd like you to just reflect a minute. Whether you realize it or not, you are already employing time blocks in your life. In fact, you spend a third of your time focused on a time block. And you know what that third of your time is spent doing? It's spent sleeping. How many other things are you doing while you're sleeping? I know it sounds perhaps a little silly, but when you're sleeping, you know what you're doing? You're sleeping. You're not doing anything else. So if you sleep somewhere between 6 and 8 hours a day, which will really help with your effectiveness, by the way, you are already blocking out time for something that's important. And I understand that sleep is a physical necessity, but what I'd like to say to you is that blocking out time to focus on things that are most important is an absolute necessity if you're going to be an effective leader. So let me give you a couple of examples, okay? One of my clients that I worked with some time ago was making a transition from being an estimator project manager into a general manager role. And he was feeling a lot of overwhelm, particularly as he was wrapping up one particular project that he was responsible for and moving into more general manager type responsibilities. And so what he did is he decided that he was going to block out his afternoons to focus on wrapping up that project and then leave his mornings open for all of the questions and the issues that he had with from the people that report to him. Okay, so in other words, in the morning, he was open to interruptions, he was open to fire drills, but in the afternoon, he was going to be focused. And this is what he did to break down those afternoon time blocks. He spent 25 minutes working on a particular, or focusing rather, on a particular issue or a particular challenge. Then he took a 5-minute break. And he repeated that 4 times. So 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, repeated 4 times. And then after he finished that, he took a 30-minute break to do something else. Perhaps he took a walk, perhaps he answered emails. Whatever the case is, he did that 25-minute block of time that helped him to focus on the challenges and the issues that he needed to concentrate on in order to be most effective. The second example is a general superintendent who covered a large geographic area. And this goes back to what I was talking about a little earlier. And what he is really focusing on is spending 1 day a week in a particular geography, visiting projects in that geography. And he's focusing his very best on reducing the amount of time he spends with the windshield. Because if he can block out a specific day to spend in one specific geography and visit the job sites that he has in that geography, work with his foreman and his other superintendents, it makes him much, much more effective. And then the third example is one of my clients who's the CEO of his organization, and he's really the rainmaker. They're a subcontractor. They do about $15 to $17 million a year, and he is the rainmaker. And it's easy for him as the CEO to get sucked into all kinds of issues. And as the CEO, he does need to focus on a variety of different issues. But he disciplines himself to block out time to intentionally visit general contractors and other client types, to spend time with them, to entertain them, because he knows that through doing that, he develops those relationships that helps his organization get more jobs. So those are 3 practical examples of construction executives who use time blocking in order to focus on doing what they need to do and focusing their time on the highest and best use of their time. So in summary, the 3 things that we've covered in this episode: number 1, the benefit of time blocks; number 2, the hindrance of time blocks; and number 3, the types of time blocks. Now, it's interesting, going back to that Superman movie, following the scene where he gets the cat out of the tree, the very next scene, we cut to Air Force One, and there's a bunch of pilots in there, and there's a storm that they're flying through, and lightning strikes Air Force One, and Air Force One is the plane that carries the President of the United States, right? And the lightning strike blows out one of the engines. And so you see the plane descending and the pilots freaking out, trying to find a place to land. And then all of a sudden, Superman swoops in and replaces one of the engine that blew out and saves the day. Okay? Now, this was a case, in my opinion, of Superman using his time extremely effectively by focusing on the highest and best use of his time, saving Air Force One and making sure that it didn't crash, killing the president. So as a construction leader, make sure that you're blocking out time and quit flying around saving cats out of trees and focus your time on doing things that are much more important, such as keeping Air Force One from falling out of the skies. So here are your next steps. This is your application here as we wrap up the episode. Number one, identify your hindrances in as far as your mind. Do you like to be the hero? Are you a perfectionist? Are you afraid to say no to people? Do you want to be liked? You need to identify those mindsets that you have that result in the behavior that causes you to be ineffective. Okay, and if you need help with that, you might want to get some outside consultation from a business coach. Number two, when you've identified the time blocking that you want to do, you need to communicate very clearly. First, you need to be able to, and I'll tell you, this is what one of my clients did. He just sent out an email and said, listen, I'm overwhelmed with the stuff that I need to do. And as a result of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to block out time to focus on particular tasks. During that time, you cannot interrupt me. So send out that email, communicate clearly how you're going to be spending your time so that everybody understands. In that communication, either by email and particularly with your direct reports face to face, let them know that there will be time for those people to talk to you and to deal with the issues that they have. But during those blocks of time, they cannot come and interrupt you. And then what you need to do is you need to be really clear about implementation. So this is the last thing you can do. Number one, you identify your hindrances. Number two, communicate. And then the last thing is implement. So this is what I want to encourage you to do. Start small to begin with. Okay? Start small. Perhaps you block out 30 or 60 minutes every other day to work on a particular project where you're going to take no distractions, no interruptions. You're not going to answer email. You're not going to be checking your social media or anything silly like that. You're just going to be focused. The number two, get rid of those distractions. I'll give you a practical example. When I'm chatting with my wife, she'll come up to me. I'm sitting on the couch at home and my phone is in my hands and she wants to talk about a particular issue that she has. I give her my full concentration. I throw away my cell phone and I focus in on her and make sure that my concentration is given to her. So when you're blocking out time to work on a particular challenge or even to meet one-on-one with someone, make sure that you don't allow those distractions. The third thing that I like to do when I am focused on a particular task that involves creativity or involves the need for concentration is I like to use music. My favorite, by the way, is Bach. I love Bach. I tell you, man, check out Bach on Amazon Music, 100 Best Bach Tunes. It's awesome. It really helps me with my concentration, helps me with my focus. So if you're a construction company owner or CEO, and you or someone who reports to you is struggling with overwhelm because of their inability to manage time, why don't you reach out to me via my website, ericanderton.com/contact, and I'll put the URL into the show notes. And leave me a message there, and I'll get back to you within 24 hours if you'd like to just discuss how you might be able to be more effective at using your time. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search for Eric Anderton. You can also check me out on YouTube. I have a number of videos up there. If you put Eric Anderton into the search box, you'll come up with two Eric Andertons. One is a guy who has a beard and long hair and plays guitar. That's not me. I'm the guy who has all the videos there for construction executives. And again, you can always check out my website, ericanderton.com. Hope you found this episode useful. And I would really appreciate it if you could give us a review on iTunes, share it with other people who you think may benefit from it. And if you have any questions, again, go to my website, ericanderton.com/contact. I really appreciate you listening. Thank you for listening to this episode of Construction Genius. Hope you found that 1% of inspiration to help you in the next few days. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes, share it with other construction leaders who you think would benefit, and always remember that the show is brought to you by Kick-Ass Meetings. I've been working with construction leaders since 2004, teaching them how to run extremely effective problem-solving meetings that gets their people collaborating, taps into their creativity, and to get yourself a free copy of the Kick-Ass Meeting Report, go to www.ericanderton.com. geographic.com/kickassmeetings. Grab yourself that free report, read it, use it in your business. You'll find it extremely useful. And thanks again for listening.